welcome to Write Woman Write, the site where we help you rev up your writing. I'm Donna Barker, and today it's my great pleasure to have with me Suzette Smith of Halifax, Canada, who is our revved up writer Q&A participant today. Hi, Dawn.
Hi, thank you.
Now, Dawn has written, just this year, in April this year, published her first book, which is a nonfiction book called Whatever the Weather, Science Experiments and Art Activities that Explore the Wonders of Weather.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about who you wrote that book for.
Okay, well, thank you for welcoming me, first off. And Whatever the Weather is geared toward families who are looking to get outdoors and bring more outdoor activities into their life and might find themselves with some weather challenges, whether that be the heat, because I know some families are challenged with that, or it might be, rain or snow or windy days even. I know I have some people that really don't enjoy the wind. So what we did is we created a book that broke those 4 areas down into chapters that each have activities and experiments, and along with each activity and experiment, there's also a section called Science Behind the Scenes. So not only do you get to play with the weather, but you also get a little scientific background about why that weather phenomena is happening. So it's basically geared towards families with kids between the ages of 4 and 8, and my son's 10 and still enjoys the activities. So it really is a book that can grow with families, and so it covers a lot of different age ranges.
What fun. I love that the book blends art and science together. I think that's a fabulous way to get kids who feel insecure about one or the other to start to recognize that both are fun and
absolutely
doable.
There's so many ways to cross over art and science. We've been doing it. I homeschool my kids. My sons went to school for the first time in grade 4 last year, but so we're homeschoolers, and my writing partner, Annie, is an elementary school teacher, and she has young children. And so we just saw within our own families how we integrated art and science, and we just wanted to bring that idea to other families in hopes that it would spark some inspiration for them to not only do the activities in the book, but to branch out and see how they could integrate that into their lives in other ways.
It's such a great idea. I live on the so-called wet coast of Canada. And if you don't find things to do in the rain, you're basically stuck inside from October till April. So
yeah, I went to school in Northern California, very similar, wet place. And here in Nova Scotia, we definitely get our share of wet weather. It's kind of one of those things, like if you don't just plan for it, then you're just not going to do anything.
Right, exactly. So you mentioned that you co-authored this book. That is not common. And I'd love to hear about how that came about, that you ended up co-authoring your first book.
Yeah, it's a really fun story, actually. My writing partner, Annie, she lived in Vermont at the time, and I did not know her. We knew lots of people. Our paths could have easily crossed in many ways, but we just didn't. And I got an email from a friend who had a nature blog that she started with another mom, and she was kind of feeling overwhelmed. These 2 moms were feeling overwhelmed, and they really wanted to grow this blog, and so they asked 6 other moms to come on as co-authors of the blog. And so Annie happened to be one of those moms, and I happened to be one of those moms, and that's how we met. Well, through attrition and through moms' lives getting busy and people moving on with other things, we ended up being the last 2 contributors to the blog. And at one point we thought, well, do we really want to keep this up for somebody else?
Right.
Like maybe, we just need to stop. But our friendship was sealed at that point. We had lots of, Skype conversations and phone calls and, all kinds of things to develop our relationship. And we didn't really know what direction we were going to go, but we just kept talking. And one day I got an email from her, and she said, "Hey, let's write a book."
And so the obvious answer is yes. Let's write a book.
Of course. So at that time, I had folders of book ideas. And she kind of had just a vague idea of, let's write some sort of like guide for families to nature, kind of like what we wanted when our kids were young. And so we kind of started from there. And she had a very successful online magazine called Alphabet Glue.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so she's an elementary school teacher. And so she had talked to a friend of hers about possibly turning Alphabet Glue into a book. And her friend had an agent. And so at the time she said, hey, if you ever want to follow through with that, I'll get you in touch with my agent.
Yeah.
So Annie really wasn't interested in following through with Alphabet Glue becoming a book at the time, but she thought, hey, we should pursue this avenue. You know, it's not everybody that can just go, hey, let me put you in touch with my agent. Yeah. So we pursued that, and our Erica, our agent, ended up, you know, she called us, and we were on this 3-way joint call, and you know, she helped us really flesh out our ideas. I mean, and she was asking really basic questions like, where is this book going to land on the shelf in the bookstore?
Right.
You know, stuff we had not even thought about at all. Is this going to be in the parenting section? Is this going to be in the kids nonfiction section? You know, where is this going to go? Because we had, you know, ideas for like a guide or an alphabet book or, you know, something. So she really was really instrumental in helping us kind of flesh out some ideas. And we came up with a book proposal. We gave it to her. It was for a book that might still come about, but funny enough, she sent it off to an editor friend of hers. Yeah. Who looked at it, and she went to our blog, and she looked at our blog. Well, we had, in the meantime, had an ebook called The Weather Watcher's Handbook. Mm-hmm. And it was just an activity guide for weather activities for families. And Jen Urban Brown from Roost, she contacted us and said, well, I'm not really interested in the proposed book, but I saw this ebook on your sidebar, and I'd really like to look at it. So, of course, we sent it to her, and she said, well, here's the thing. I've had this idea for a book called Whatever the Weather, and I think you guys might be the ones to write it for me. And we said, well, that's great. What are you thinking? She goes, that's it.
She had the title.
It's going to be a book called Whatever the Weather, and it's going to be to encourage families to get outside. So we thought, okay, we can do that. So we put together a book proposal. We did all our research, you know, all of what titles are already out there. And we put together kind of a first chapter introduction. And she took it to the powers that be, and we got a book contract.
That is amazing. What a fabulous story.
It's really fun. And in between all of that, and actually, you know, the process of finishing the book, so many life changes. You know, when Annie and I first met, I was living in Nova Scotia. She was in Vermont. We moved to New Mexico for a year, which is where we were when I actually got the book contract. Mm-hmm. And then during the process of writing the book, Annie moved to Boston. I moved back to Nova Scotia. We had all kinds of family things come up and lives shift. And she went back to work full time and gained a couple kids in the process.
Oh my gosh.
Like through remarriage. So there have been so many life things that have, you know, happened during this whole process too, that, you know, our friendship really was a foundation for our partnership in writing.
Nice.
And so it was fun.
So you've just said something that I'm thinking of, all of the women who start writing books and then get hit with all manner of different life blocks and changes, and the book writing falls to the side.
Yeah.
But you did it. How long did it take you, and how did you do it?
Well, the process of, I'm trying to think in terms of, I mean, you know, in book writing and in the whole process, so much of it is, you know, like we got the book contract in December, and then we turned the transcript, or the manuscript in September.
Okay, so fast. 10 months is really fast.
Granted, we had it partially written because we pulled some from the ebook. Mm-hmm. And then of course, you know, then it's out of our hands. And it was another year and a half before it was actually published.
But your piece was still well done. 10 months is admirable.
Yeah. And we, I think the only reason it got finished is because we were in a partnership.
Right.
because it would have been so easy with, my cross-continent moves to go, oh, this is just too much. I'm homeschooling these kids and we're moving and there's so much going on, and off the book goes to the side.
Right.
Or in Annie's instance, huge major life upheavals and changes and going back to work full time and all the things that were happening in her life. It would have been, easy to set that aside and say, that's going to have to wait till later. Right. So I think the fact that we were both in it together, and we were, we'd message each other every day and, how you doing? What's going on? Okay, I'll pick up that piece, and, you do this piece. And my husband laughs because I became kind of the organizer of the pair, where I was putting deadlines. We wrote in Google Docs.
Fabulous.
So she wrote in blue and I wrote in purple. And then when I read what she wrote, I change it to black. Oh. So if it was written and edited, then it would change over to black.
That is so smart.
So we knew anything in the document that was black, we both had red.
Yeah.
And then we had our red deadlines in there that were kind of, places we gave ourselves deadlines in the process, instead of just trying to shoot for that one magical manuscript deadline, which is impossible.
Right.
So we both knew where we were at and where we needed to be, and we just worked with each other's schedules. The weekends that she didn't have the kids, we got a lot done. Yeah. And, other times, I would do these pieces. And
so you really quite literally co-wrote, like every chapter is a blend of your two voices.
There can be, oh yeah, I look at the book now and I can hardly tell, and my friend who reads my writing every day, she reads it and she's it's just such an amazing blend of the two of you. Mm-hmm. It's, you can't distinguish,
that's
where there's it's some delineation, like, oh yeah, Dawn wrote this and Annie wrote that.
Yeah.
Because we really just, there are parts of the book where I would look in the doc and it would be just, Annie's writing and my writing and just
back
kind
and
of
forth.
Mesh of things. So
that's fantastic.
Yeah, it was fun.
Hold up the book. You've got one there, right? A copy of it?
No, I was just using it to reference. So here's the book.
Yay. I love it. I love the cover. I absolutely love it.
So we were talking about that. Yeah, a lot of people love the cover. So it's really cool because there's, with each activity, like I said, there's the science behind the scenes. And that was, there were areas like Annie's really great at writing introductions. Mm-hmm. So there were areas where I would start the introduction and then she'd go through and kind of weave in. I'm very kind of technical in my writing.
Yeah.
Where she has those adjectives that are just awesome, Mm-hmm. So she would go through and kind of weave that in there, and then we both would kind of write the science part of it, and then there would come a part where it's the step-by-step instructions of things, and my son helped a lot with a lot of the activities, so I was taking pictures of everything as we went along, and there were so many times where we had activity ideas, and I would talk to him and say, hey, this is our idea, we want to go do this, and we'd go out and do it. And he would say, oh, that's fun, but this would make it so much better,
That's so great.
That.
So does he get an acknowledgement then in the book?
Oh, yeah.
And you did all the photography, or most of the photography in the book, too?
Yeah. Like I said, because Dylan was helping me so much, there were times where, I had to...
Oh, look at that.
Take pictures of him. I'm trying to see. There were just some really fun things that we did, we were playing with the wind one day at the beach. So he was throwing up seaweed and, watching it go in the wind. And yeah, so those were, the photography part of it was really fun. And each science behind the scenes, like the surface tension one, trying to get a pond skater.
Yeah. And you took that photograph as well?
Yeah.
Wow.
That was me sitting on my belly on the pond in our backyard going, okay, pond skater. We need a really good, because, it's we kind of have a photo that would work, but we need a really good one. So, it was a lot of fun.
Wow. What a huge and amazing accomplishment. That's bigger than writing a book. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, sometimes it hits you. It's oh, wow.
So I haven't read it, but I've looked at Amazon reviews, and it has got exclusively 5-star reviews. So you've hit your market. Well done.
Very fun. Yeah.
Yeah, really fun. And are you planning another book? Are you working on another one?
We are. We have a few ideas, but the one we're fleshing out right now is basically the same model as Whatever the Weather. So Whatever the Weather follows the water cycle, and you have, the Beaufort scale for wind, things like that. So what we really want to do is do an earth science version of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So kind of, do the rock cycle and O-scale hardness and things like that. And so we're fleshing out kind of how that will work. It's not, earth science has its own challenges when it comes to, you can't take pictures of tectonic plates moving.
Right.
So we're both thinking about, how do we kind of combine photography and sketches and things like that. So that's bringing in a whole nother element that we kind of have to flesh out and problem solve. But that's what makes it fun.
That's neat. So what advice would you have for a woman who is thinking about, hasn't jumped into, but is thinking about co-writing with somebody? Like, what challenges did you have to overcome, or what were the things? I mean, what I heard was Google Docs, brilliant idea. So that's something that would really help, I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, there's the practical side of writing with a partner, and then there's the, I don't know. Like I said, our friendship really galvanized the whole thing and made it work. I don't know that I would feel as comfortable entering into a writing partnership with, I know other people that have brilliant ideas and who, are really great at what they do, but maybe they're not the right fit for a writing partner. So I think that on one hand, for us, it worked out, and we never entered into any contract. I know there's people out there like, even with a friend, make sure you get a contract. But I mean, for me, I was thinking about it because I knew we were going to talk about this, and I don't even know what that contract would look like because, like I said, our writing is so intermeshed.
Yeah.
And the things, I mean, it's not like, okay, you're going to write all the introductions and then I'm going to write all the instructions and then you're going to do this and I'm going to do that. We just don't work that way. So I don't even know what that would look like. But I do know of other people who, entered into a partnership writing with someone and it didn't work out well. And she had, they said, if I had a contract, then I'd have, some sort of recourse to be able to, whether it's recoup money or do whatever.
Right.
For better or for worse, it just kind of don't function that way.
Well, you're pretty Canadian, I guess, eh?
Actually, I'm American. You didn't know?
Well done.
I'm a convert.
It sounds so Canadian. We'll discuss it over a beer. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, handshake.
That's right.
I'm a Californian, no less, which is even funnier. But yeah, we've been here for 8 years, so I guess it's rubbed off on me a bit. But Annie's the same way. I mean, we're both actually from West Coast United States, and both ended up on the East Coast, and yeah, it's just, I don't know. There's plenty of people out there that might go, oh my gosh, there's no way I would ever enter into a writing partnership without a contract, and that's just something they need to flesh out and figure out for themselves.
Yeah.
And then there's other people that say, no, this is just such a great match. It just flows and it just works out. So there's the practical side of it, like how do you write together?
Right.
How
did you write together?
Google Docs just made such complete sense for us. I don't really know how. I mean, I guess we would have ended up just sending each other Word documents back and forth if we didn't have Google Docs. I mean, we regularly backed up what we did with a Word document. Annie was kind of responsible for that part of. I didn't even have Word when we started writing.
Wow.
I got a new computer. It didn't have Word on it. I was like, well, guess what? We're not using Word. So I actually got Word specifically so that I could edit the edits on the manuscript.
Wow.
So she would throw it into Word as a backup every so often because I have heard of people losing their Google Docs. So it does happen, but yeah, I don't even know how we hit on. I guess it was just at some point, her favorite color is blue, and green is my favorite color, but it was a little too hard to read, so I went with purple. And it was just whenever we went in and did any writing or edits or changes, like even if I edited something of hers that she wrote and I threw some other things in there or changed things around, you know, I'd make it black and then I'd purple the stuff that I changed so she could see what I was doing, and same with her. And so that part of it just worked out. And we shared a Dropbox for photos.
Great.
So the Dropbox part worked out really well. And we blog at Mud Puddles to Meteors. Mm-hmm. Created a blog because we thought, well, if we're going to write a book, we should probably have a community. And not only that, but like she shared nature things on her personal blog, and I had made kind of a nature blog aside from my personal blog because my kids and I spent a lot of time outside in nature. So we kind of had these nature blogs off to the side. Well, I had a nature blog off the side. She was sharing nature stuff already. So we just kind of pulled all that into one place and made Mud Puddles to Meteors. And
how did that community help you with finishing the book or promoting the book, or did it help at all with the book?
Yeah, I think it has. I mean, all of the reviews on Amazon are from our Mud Puddles to Meteors community. Right when we started the blog, we started a Facebook group, which is, you know, still smallish, but, you know, 650 plus people.
That's good.
So, you know, there's people that just share their nature finds there, or if they find something they don't know what it is, they post a picture of it, say, what's this? And then other people chime in. And it's really even with controversial things, I know people might chuckle, but like dissection is kind of controversial. And there were these little crocheted, dissected animals that I came across, and I shared them with the group, and it started this complete discussion about dissection that was just so beautifully civil.
Nice.
Which is so refreshing on the internet nowadays. Yeah. But so even though there's the, you know, even within nature studies, there are things that are controversial, like collecting feathers or you know, things like that. So, or collecting at all in general. So the group has been really wonderful and a really nice community to foster and be a part of. And so when we were in the process of writing the book, you know, we would share, you know, like, this is the cover at Cave, you know, or, you know, we turned in the manuscript. So stuff like that was really exciting to see the community get excited for us.
Nice.
And the process, and look forward to the book. And then, of course, when there were no reviews at all on Amazon, you know, I just kind of threw it out there in the group. Hey guys, you know, if anybody
anyone's read it, can you review? Yeah.
If you like the book, head over to Amazon, please. And they did. So it's been really nice to be a part of the community, and it's a great place to say, you know, hey, we're thinking about doing an earth science book. Would anybody be interested? And yes.
Right. That's
And you know, parents are looking for resources for their kids, and they love to, you know, a lot of our community members just love books in general. We have a lot of homeschoolers, so homeschoolers are notorious for being book people. Yeah. And then even the ones that aren't homeschoolers are just, you know, they're people that are really engaged with their kids, and they want, you know, everybody wants the best for their kids, and these are people that are especially keen on trying to encourage their kids to get outdoors. And we even have quite a few community members that don't have kids, and they just like being a part of the community because it's like-minded people, and there's going on there. So the community aspect of it's been really fun. And even when we kind of fall off of, you know, when we get into writing mode, there's not as much kind of headspace and time to write any blog posts.
Right.
So the blog kind of will take a little dip while other writing's happening. But there's always that community on Facebook there, which is really great.
Nice. Wow. Really exciting.
Yeah. So I know we've kind of gone off into other areas beyond just writing with a partner. But I think the biggest thing about writing with a partner has been that whole idea that with all of the life changes that occurred in both of our lives, we were there to support each other. I guess it's kind of like having an accountability partner in that respect. And I think that even if you don't want to write with somebody, having even that accountability partner, I think, is really big, because it's somebody else you're kind of beholden to, so that you can't just put it off to the side. So even if somebody's watching this and says, oh, I could never write with somebody, these are my own ideas and these are my stories and I'm not going to ever have a writing partner, expanding on that and really thinking outside of that box where you don't have to publish with your writing partner, mm-hmm. but just having another person there that's outside of your family. I think Absolutely. So many people kind of rely on their family members and their really close friends to cheer them on. Mm-hmm. But sometimes they just don't get it. And, they don't understand where you're at. They don't understand why you're passionate about something. And they just can't wrap their brain around it the way someone else who's going through it can. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think looking outside of that circle of people can be really healthy.
Yeah. When I belong, the writers group I belong to, how many years ago? 3 years ago. Some members of the group said, hey, we want to figure out if we can have accountability partners. And so I took the volunteer role of creating a spreadsheet, and everybody told me where they lived, what they wrote, and we created this I'm a lover of Excel spreadsheets. So I created this Excel spreadsheet, and little groups formed, and there were 3 of us living in the general geographic area I live in, and then a 4th woman who just wanted to be in our group with us. So we call ourselves the Mavens. We were the mountain Mavens, but we have someone who doesn't live in the mountains. So now we're just the Mavens. And we meet pretty well once a month. And that is exactly what it's about. Because when we meet in a month, there's something that we have to have submitted to the other members and they have to have read. And then we meet and get feedback. And without that, it's so easy just to let it slide. So very...
And I would keep at it, like not all first experiences work out. Like not all, like you make contact with somebody and they may, show interest in being your accountability partner. And then it just kind of falls apart and you're not accountable to each other anymore. But keep at it, because when you do find that person, I think it just is really beneficial to your growth as a writer.
Great advice. Wonderful. Well, it was absolutely a treat to talk to you. I love all your enthusiasm and your energy. It's fabulous.
Thanks. Yeah, it's exciting. There was always that part of me that thought, I'd love to be a writer, but I lacked the confidence. And that's actually something I can say that Annie gave me, in the process of our writing partnership, is just boosting my confidence as a writer. And seeing like the areas that she edited my writing, and to see what she changed and what were the things that she saw. Those were just really confidence boosters in helping me learn about the language and learn about writing. And
so that's interesting. I think we're going we're still under 30 minutes. We're over 20 minutes, but we're under 30. Even though I have a 20-plus year career as a technical writer, when I decided to write fiction, I had no confidence there. And you're a blogger, and you're a prolific blogger, so it's a funny thing. It's a funny thing, eh?
Yeah, I just really was not a confident writer. So I think that was the other part of the partnership that was beneficial to me personally. Mm-hmm. And Annie realized in the process that she really likes editing.
Oh, cool.
So she never really liked editing her own blog because it was just kind of a one-off thing, like, oh, it's just a one post, Mm-hmm. But she realized she really enjoyed like the long haul project of a book and something that's going to be lasting and to edit that.
Yeah.
So we both kind of found areas that we really enjoyed. And I enjoy kind of more of the social media interaction and promoting things and sharing with people and fleshing out ideas and that kind of stuff. So through the process, we've really figured out, what we enjoy and what we like to do. And I know personally I've grown a lot as a writer because I've worked with Annie.
Right.
And she thanks me for the organization end of it.
Great.
So, which my husband laughs because I'm not organized normally.
Oh, that's funny.
Personally,
it's all about what's important, right?
Yes, there are priorities and that accountability once again.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's like she's relying on me to, get certain things lined out. So it just happens.
That's great.
Yeah. So it's been fun talking to you about it.
Great talking to you. I hope that we get to stay in touch. And if anyone has any questions, I'm going to share links so that they can connect with you on Facebook, and you've got a website, DonSuzetteSmith.com, right?
That's my private personal website, which is not very active right now.
Okay.
So yeah, the best place to find anything happening currently is at mudpuddlestometeors.com.
Okay.
Yeah, and then there's a Facebook group of the same name, Mud Puddles to Meteors Facebook group. So yeah, so I'm around, and if anybody has any questions about, like I said, writing with a partner that we didn't cover here, I'm happy to talk to people about it.
Thank you. Really great to meet you, Dawn.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye.